the pit lane you're at as well, to be honest. So I think 4 or 5 laps is going to be the most we see in this session so far, and it's going to be interesting to see if we get a true representation of speed, as in people finding space to do their best laps.
Exactly, and at the moment, with just under 4 minutes and 35 seconds still to go, Aaron Walker is actually now leading the way, but the margin between Aaron Walker and the returning Kieran Vidargo is 54 thousandths. That's how close it is for pole position. Make that a 1/10 of a second as Charlie Crossland from Team Fordzilla. He's running the 66 Porsche. There is Kieran Vidargo in the number 4 Porsche. Look at that, Steve. Top 3 covered by just over a 1/10, and we have just over 4 minutes in the session to go.
Yeah, and Walker's just trying to prove us wrong now, isn't he? By we were saying he's going to struggle, but he's really, him and Steve have put a lot of laps in. They put a lot of effort into this the setup on the KTM. But I do expect to see a couple of those Mercedes and maybe even the Porsches squeezing closer to the 55s if they can find the space and if they can get that good lap in, which is it's all against them. Haley put the other KTM now in pole position with a 156.4, a 10th faster than Walker, so we've got a KTM lockout at the front at the moment. Simply Race front row, which is awesome if they can maintain it. But I do expect, Vidargo. I mean, Adam Zalovic, he was the man in the 55s in practice. Where's he?
Yeah. He's currently down in 7th position ahead of his fellow block of cheese teammate, Mark Neutling. Sorry, we have seen some of the liveries, and it looks like I think Mark Neutlings will have to concentrate on the driving as opposed to trying to stuff his face with Emmental cheese throughout the race, or Gouda or Gruyere, whichever his preference is. I'm not too sure. We might find out a bit later. But they are currently running in 7th and 8th, and Isalovic, the gap wasn't much. Well, it was about a quarter of a second, if memory serves me correctly, between Isalovic and I think Steve Haley in the free practice session. But it's looking really, really tight at the moment. And at the minute, there's so many different drivers in here. We actually got a new addition who's currently in 9th position, and I know this guy very, very well. Aidan Bro, known on Twitch as Aid the Ace. He's running the 557 Audi, and he's with Butler Pal Motorsport, run in part by René Butler, who just so happens to not just run a sim racing team, but a real life racing team. So evening, René. I hope you're with us, and I hope you're keeping well, mate, over in Germany. So, and here is Aidan Bro in the Butler Pal Motorsport Audi R8, the number 557.
It'll be interesting to see how we can make that Audi go in a field full of Mercedes, Porsches, and BMWs. It makes you want to watch for the underdog, as it were, or the less popular brand, as it were, just to see what the guys can do. But yeah, definitely Haley and Walker locking out that front row is a big surprise for me. I did expect to see them in the sort of top 6, top 7, but locking out the front row at the moment is absolutely awesome.
You're going to have to watch it for Isalovic and Smith, because they've just gone 3rd and 4th respectively. So Isalovic has just put in a 156.427. There is Steve Haley, and he's actually trying to latch onto the back of Mark Neutelings. So they're actually, this is quite a good strategy from the KTM drivers with the you notice that the Union Jack ablaze on the roof of that KTM Crossbow. That's a really, really lovely livery.
It's better than what's on the roof of the Mercedes. I think there's just a big cow on the top of that roof.
I think Tony Green from Bullseye would have said, and Bully's special prize.
Yeah,
sorry.
Haley's backed out of that, and he's not going to get a chance to do another flying lap. So that's Haley's best time now. Currently on pole position with a 156, more or less dead. Walker 3/10 back. So Haley did improve on that time, and that's an incredible time in that KTM. It has to be said, and it's going to take some beating. And as we say, most of the lads will be on their last lap now, and certainly 40 seconds to go till the end of the session.
Yeah, Isalovic currently running P3, 4/10 off. On a 1 minute 56.427, top 23 covered by 2.5 seconds. There's Michael Haffenden in the 861 HF Impala Racing Porsche. So they've done a switch to a 3rd different manufacturer in 3 different seasons. They've decided to go with the tried and trusted 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport, both Haffenden and Fulbrook, with Fulbrook currently running in P20, 2nd in Season 2 by just a handful of points ahead of Daniel Jim by 7 points. Tim Fulbrook actually secured it. And the checkered flag has gone out. as Pixley will be P12. I'm just keeping my eyes on Isalovic because I'm wondering how he's getting on at the minute, because if he can get this lap in, who knows how he's possibly done in terms of the two in front, because that would be impressive from the reigning drivers champion and also the reigning teams champion having a front row KTM lockout. I never thought I'd be quoting that one.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, awesome driving from Haley at the moment to keep that on pole position. And I'm just looking at the splits, and he's made all the time up in Sector 2. He's pretty much matched the other guys in Sector 1, Sector 3. In fact, he was a tenth slower than Azalovic in Sector 1, but he's a massive half a second faster in Sector 2. And that's where the KTM's at its strongest, obviously through the Lesmos around that sort of area of the track. So fantastic lap from Haley, still currently holding pole position.
Yeah, and there's Baz Schilistra in the number 16. Oh, getting a bit sideways there through the chicane. Oh, gets a tank slapper right on, smacks into the front on the barriers. And, well, that's a real shame for him. Daniel Parker in the number 6. He's running the BMW. And I've just noticed, Steve, that the top 34 drivers, rounded out by the number 79, and a big warm welcome to Denise Pope in the Porsche. They are all under 2 minutes, so it's 3.588 seconds. But it looks like that it is a KTM lockout at the front of the field for race 1 out of 6 for season 3 GT4, followed by Adam Isalovic, Rich Smith, Kieran Vidago, Charlie Crossland, Chris Pinchbeck, Aidan Bro in the 557 Audi rounds out the top 8 ahead of Mark Neutelings, and Gavin Utley rounds out the top 10, covered by just over a second. That was a close qualifying there, mate.
It was, mate, and it didn't disappoint, did it? And I think, to be fair, you know, I was worried about whether we'd get the respective times of what the drivers are capable of, with it being such a short and hectic quali. But they haven't disappointed. Those are awesome times to achieve. And, you know, we've got some regulars in there. We've got some new names in there. We've got some guys that we maybe did expect higher up, like Fulbrook, but he's a bit further down. So maybe it's just a bit of adapting to the Porsche, you know, for the first race out. But I'm sure they've done the testing. But, yeah, let's see what the race brings now. I'm sure it's going to be mega exciting.
Yep, so we will have 45 minutes on the clock here at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza for race 1 out of 6 for Simsport Racing GT4 Season 3. And this is where it's going to get interesting here, Steve, because these cars are going to be pushing over 250 kilometres an hour at multiple points through the circuit, especially when they come out of the Curva Parabolica around the final corner and then go over to the Rettifilio. These guys and girls will not be holding back, as there we are. I cannot believe this. I'm sure that Mike Yao from Simply Race, our broadcast director, is absolutely grinning like the proverbial Cheshire cat, but that was a great effort from Haley and Walker. Isalovic and Smith round out the top 2 rows ahead of Vidago, Crossland, Pinchbeck, Neutelings. As we see that Jean Pinchbeck says, couldn't find you, but I think I'm watching now. Come on, Pinchy, she says. Well, let's see how Chris gets on from 7th, and we'll have Mark Neutelings in the 666 alongside Gavin Utley. And it's just really going to be interesting how this is going to happen, because we've got 3.5 minutes until the session starts. 21-degree air temperature, nice and sunny, blue skies up overhead, and it's a 29 degrees Celsius track temperature. And this is the biggest thing that we have been talking about, you and I, Steve, is I hate to think what's going to happen going into the Rettifilio for the first time after, when the lights go green.
I'm not even thinking about that, mate, at the moment. I'm just, no, I mean, in all seriousness, you know, this community just keeps growing, and I'm just looking at the GT4s, which is technically it's a support class for our GT3 racing, which is really successful as well. And look at the size of this grid; it just goes on and on and on. It is absolutely awesome to see all these guys here, and I'm sure, you know, they've had the drivers' briefing for 5 minutes before the qualifying started. They will have been warned about penalties, and in fact, if they are, you know, deemed to have caused any incidents at the end of the race, there is a post race penalty system where they can potentially lose places if they don't give them back after causing an incident. So it's a pretty structured and strict penalty system we run at Simsport, so they will be fully aware of that. So hopefully that will guide them onto the right path for the first couple of chicanes.
Yeah, very, very true indeed. And it's going to be an absolute barnstorm. We're heading down into the Rettifilo chicane for the first time before they head into the sweeping right-hander at Cova Grande, before the second variante, before the two Lesmos, Saraglio, and then you've got the Ascari chicane. That's where some people in more, let's just say, more adaptable cars, such as the KTM, might be able to use a little bit of that momentum carry through there. And I just noticed Cameron Fife towards the back of the grid.
Yeah, I mean, just let's look at the circuit for 1 second, Alex. As you know, I mean, never has it been more important with such a big field to get the drive out of the corners. You know, and those KTMs at the front, we know that they're going to be challenged down the straights, and the other guys have got the legs on them. So they've got to make use of Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2. They've got to get through Ascari as cleanly as possible. They've got to get a good drive out of Parabolica. There's no way they can make up for errors or mistakes. They're under pressure. They have done the hard bit of getting those KTMs on the front row, but now they have got the even harder bit of keeping everybody behind them, especially on these first few laps.
Yeah, we're already having some comments in on YouTube saying T1 madness. It's going to be a fun watch, and obviously we've just responded via the official YouTube channel. Let's hope for a clean start. Well, the thing is that as per the penalty system, as Steve was just alluding to, it is very, very strict. We are firm, but we are fair. And at the end of the day, this is where the drivers really, really can shine. If they get through the Rettifilo for the first time without any problems. Cameron Fife has just said he's had some really difficult connection issues. Well, hopefully, Cameron, things do start to settle down for you, buddy. It is a packed grid, 38 cars here at Monza. And if I'm honest here, Steve, we've had unpredictability for the first two seasons of GT4. Season 3 has had the volume cranked up to 11 in the words of Spinal Tap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guys are just going to set off in a second now on their outlap. But yeah, it's always difficult because as the community keeps growing, obviously the grid sizes grow and you're racing against new drivers. And the drivers do have to get to know each other's little habits and you know, the little traits that they have. And that causes, you know, just maybe a few more incidents than you would expect as the season moves on. But hopefully tonight, like you say, we'll see some sensible actions and some sensible manoeuvres.
Oh, Aaron Walker is in the pits, Steve. That's a bit of a surprise.
Jeffrey Wolf as well, I'm just noticing. I'm wondering if there's been an issue.
Right, so some of the drivers, I think, looks like they've actually... we might have a slight issue at the minute, but we'll see if we can get back on the grid very, very shortly. But yeah, also I wanted to briefly talk about the ACC GT3 driver swap that actually starts this coming Sunday, the 8th of November, where we head to Suzuka. It's a 150-minute race, 2 drivers, 3 mandatory pit stops where you have to take on tyres. That's going to be very, very interesting indeed. And we've had, 28-ish entries so far in terms of driver pairings, haven't we?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a driver's swap championship for the GT3s, as you say. It's just going to be a 4-round, sort of a fun championship, really, just to take us up to the Christmas break. And that's just teams of 2. So, you know, it's still a lot of drivers involved, obviously, 28 cars. And it's just going to be some fun racing, and it gives us an opportunity to test the driver swap servers out and just test a few different settings. And it's also for those guys that maybe haven't done driver swaps before, just to get used to what the different technicalities are with what you have to do when you're coming into the pits and when you want to swap, because if you're not used to it, it can be a little bit overwhelming the first couple of times you do it, and you will make mistakes. So what better way to learn than in a bit of a fun championship?
Well, especially when the maximum driver time allowed is 80 minutes, if memory serves me correctly. But for those wondering about the calendar, it's this coming Sunday, the 8th of November, will be Suzuka. 2 weeks later, on the 22nd of November, it's Spa-Francorchamps. Mount Panorama, Bathurst, will be the 6th of December. And then the season finale will be here at Monza. So that's going to be really, really interesting. 150 minutes. I've definitely got a frog in my throat at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just being... I think it's just the adrenaline, really, at the moment.
It's the anticipation, isn't it?
It is 38 cars going into the Rettifilio for the first time, and I don't know what to expect, and I think you're of the same opinion. And there you go. There is still, I think, what is it, a maximum of 35 driver pairings we can have?
Yeah, we're looking for up to 35 drivers just to get a full grid. But, we're reasonably happy with the 28. The championship will run with that. But if anybody fancies it, there's still a couple of days left to sign up. Just go onto our website and follow the link for Discord to get the sign up and get your names down and have some fun with us. It is just a fun championship, and drivers of all abilities are welcome. We will help anybody as much as we can to get you up to speed as quick as we can, and just to make sure you enjoy the events.
Indeed, and that's what we're here to do. We are the place to race. If Jensen Button isn't enough of an endorsement, I don't know what is. And a big thank you to Jensen and obviously Team Rocket as well, RJN, for the VRRC and MSL Motorsport Consultancy. A real big thank you to them with regards to the 3 hours, 3 hour virtual of Silverstone, which was, from what I understood, a very, very good event. It was actually nice to be a spectator as well for a change, and I think Aaron Walker gave me a little bit of a telling off for Paul Ricard, didn't he? He said, "Hey, who gave you a day off, Alex?"
Yeah, absolutely. As the official voice of Simsport, Alex, it's always good to have you alongside me in the commentary box and work well together. And it's great to be here with you. Dean Riley just saying good luck to everyone racing. Andrew Fife, when do you go live, guys? We will go live very, very shortly. I think we've got a couple of minutes left till they go on the parade lap. We've just had to restart the session due to a technical issue. So hopefully we will get things underway in the next couple of minutes.
Yep, and this is one track that definitely has seen its fair share of racing over nearly a century since it was first instigated back in the early 1900s. But it is a place that GT3 and GT4 racing, Steve, is alive and well here. And obviously one of the people that actually helps to run the circuit is a former F1 driver, Ivan Capelli, no less, which was quite interesting when I found that out a couple of years ago. I didn't realise that they had brought someone who was ex-Ferrari, no less, to help sort of bring the circuit to what it is now. And it is a place where our virtual tifosi in the grandstands are able to get a prime time seat.
Yeah, and it looks like we're just about ready to go again, so hopefully this time we'll get away with no glitches and no issues with the session. Let's just hold our breath and wait to see them all move away, and it's looking good so far. No one's jumped to the pits this time. I mean, just going back to the first corner scenario at Rettifilio, I mean, as a driver, when I've raced at Monza myself, on the first lap, if things are going wrong in the first corner, there's no shame in lifting and going straight on and using that escape road. Just go around, don't go crashing through the barriers, but just ease off on the throttle. Try not to gain any positions, but just avoid the mess, because all you're going to do is add to the carnage. And hopefully the drivers sort of see that common sense aspect of it. The stewards certainly do. There'll be no penalties for that as long as they don't, gain an advantage by passing half a dozen cars by doing it. It's all about common sense, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think around such a circuit where full throttle is going to be, I think that's going to be more than just the aperitif. It's going to be the main course with a little bit of braking thrown in for dessert here. And this circuit, you've raced around it before as well, Steve, and it's not easy at all. When you're braking from around 250 in top gear, say for example going down to the Rettifilio, it's going to be difficult to really, really time it perfectly, especially if you're in the mid-pack. That's where all the trouble normally tends to start, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. The first couple of laps, it's Rettifilio, and then obviously into Della Roggia. That can also. So I've been guilty in the past of breathing a sigh of relief as everyone's got Rettifilio clean, and then there's incidents in the second chicane. So they're both chicanes are equally important on this first lap, definitely, because they are both very heavy braking zones, and the cars will be bunched up. But it's a fun track to race at. I mean, you're running such low aero to try and get the speeds down the straights that when you go through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, it's so much of a compromise and a balancing act and a very, very fine line. And it's interesting, you know, that's what makes a difference a lot of the time between a good lap and a bad lap, as we saw when Steve Haley put it on pole position.
Yeah, so track temperature has increased to nearly 30 degrees Celsius, 29 degrees Celsius, and air temperature 22 degrees Celsius. Sunshine still beaming down on the circuit, 3.6 miles, 5.793 kilometres as the drivers now make their way towards the Ascari chicane. And this is where the drivers really need to start knuckling down. There's Chris Pinchbeck in the number 43 Mercedes.
Yeah, that's a new livery for Chris in the matte black with the what could be described as a mint stripe. So yeah, a new livery for Chris and a new car, the Mercedes. Obviously, we normally see him in the GT3 Audi. So he jumped back into the GT4s and qualified very well, it has to be said, in 7th place. That's a good qualification from Chris.
Yeah, considering the fact we've got 2 KTMs, 4 Mercedes, 3 Porsches and a BMW in the top 10. And now the drivers start to prepare themselves, and it is going to be down to Haley and Walker to control the pace, as a lot of the drivers, that's looking a little bit messy on the rolling start going in. But they now head through the Parabolica here at Monza. Season 3 GT4 about to get underway here at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Steve Haley with a number 1 on his KTM and has Simply Race teammate Aaron Walker alongside the Season 1 champion. It is now time to find out who will get the whole shot, who will get the run on the opposition. 38 GT4 cars heading towards the start-finish line here at Monza. The lights are red at the moment. We wait patiently. And it is green. We are off and away, racing here at Monza as they hurtle their way down. 38 cars representing 8 different manufacturers down into the Rettifilio for the first time. Who's going to have the anchors on nice and early, as we are on board with Chris Pinchbeck trying to get the upper hand on Charlie Crossland and also Kieran Dargo. And Mark Neuteling's looking up the inside of the 43. Oh, a little bit of nudging between the pair, and we have got an absolute carambolage. Drivers having to go towards the inside of the second part of the chicane, as it's 3 abreast.
To be absolutely fair to the drivers there, that was just a concertina effect of the braking zone. It wasn't so much incidents; it was actually just there was that 38 cars trying to get through, 6 foot basically. But looking good so far. The KTM's are keeping they're challenging each other at the moment. So the team players maybe not quite come into play yet. They're just battling for domination. So did we see someone go a little bit wide there?
Yeah, I think one of the Porsches. I think that might have been Charlie Crossland. As there's Aidan Bro, I've just seen. He's gone a little bit wide going through the first of the 2 Lesmos, and he's currently rounding out the top 10. And so Aidan Bro looking to close up on Chris Pinchbeck, who's now dropped to 9th place. Haffenden 13th. And I think one of the early casualties it is Aaron Walker leading the way in the 99 KTM ahead of teammate Charlie Crossland coming under fire from Kieran Vidago, who has a bit of a tank slapper going through the exit of the Ascari chicane. But Gavin Utley has absolutely stormed his way as Sibasivicius battling away with Jeffrey Wolf in the 86 BMW. And
looking to chase down Stapleford. I mean, look how close the gap he's saying he is to Stapleford. I mean, that's insane, obviously, side by side at the moment. But congratulations to all the drivers there. Absolutely awesome first lap. Not too many issues, I don't think, at all. Very, very good driving standards and great to see. But the let battle commence now with this season of GT4 racing.
Bry Havoc and let slip the GT4 Dogs of War. And that is what exactly is happening, as Charlie Crossland coming under fire from the likes of Chris Pinchbeck, Aidan Bro. Gavin Utley has stormed his way up to 7th. He went up the inside of the Team Fordzilla driver, and it looks like Aidan Bro is trying to go up the inside of Chris Pinchbeck, heading towards the right-hander at Curva Grande. The Audi and the Mercedes side by side at the moment. Crossland looks to be the bottle in the cork, and Aidan Bro trying to go up the inside of the 66 Porsche, now up towards the next chicane.
I was holding my breath then. I was 3 wide, and I thought, no way, boys. But Charlie Crossland's done enough there to lead it through Del Rogier, the chicane, and Pinchbeck's filed back in behind them. But yeah, that was awesome driving, and Crossland's sort of making his way. He's up to 8th, but like I say, Utley in 7th, Neutlin's in 6th. That's a great start from those boys. Kieran Vidago, he's one to watch, and the series regular Rich Smith in 4th place as well. Let's not forget Rich, he's been putting some good times in.
Yeah, unfortunately, those connection issues have come back to haunt Cameron Fife, I'm afraid. He's just posted on the YouTube feed as we go on board with Mark Neutelings and Gavin Utley looking up the inside of Charlie Crossland in the Porsche going through the Ascari.
Just showing some great pace then from Utley in the BMW, isn't it, to be sniffing around the back of Charlie Crossland. So let's face it, Charlie Crossland is not a slow driver, and in the Porsche, he's in a pretty decent piece of kit for this track.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look at the times at the moment. Walker is currently 0.341 seconds ahead of the defending champion now, Steve Haley. Isalovic rounds out the top 3. Rich Smith, Kieran Vidago were on board on the rear bumper of Mark Neutelings.
Yeah, those 2 KTMs are currently lapping, round about the 57.2 and 57.3 respectively, and the only other man as close as that at the moment is Vidago with a 57.3. So, I think Azalovic as well, he's been the man to watch in practice. Maybe he's going to make a charge for the front very shortly. We've got 40 minutes of this race left, and it's all to play for at the moment, and no one's really getting away. Although those 2 KTMs may now start to work together. Now they've settled themselves down and just try and maintain a bit of a gap on the other guys.
I don't think they will with the way that Isalovic has set personal bests. I've just been having a look at the sector times. Haley has gone purple in sectors 2 and 3. A 40.752 in sector 2 and a 38.103 as Aidan Bro goes up the inside. Nicely done by the 557 Audi on Gavin Utley. And that is through the Lesmos. That's through the first Lesmo as Pinchbeck towards the outside of the BMW. But that's a great little scrap there. And just behind them, they've got Angus Martin in the AMR with HF Impala 863.
Yeah, just his satellite teammate, as it were, Tim Fulbrook, down in 25th at the minute. So Tim's not having his best race on record, but I'm sure he'll make up a few places. Some more championship regulars down there with him as well. Richard Emery, he raced with us. He's raced every season at GT4, so he's further down than normal. Denise Pope made up some great positions. She's up to 26th now.
We'll make that 25th as Daniel Parker's in the pits. And he's dropping like a proverbial stone. So Denise Pope, who I understand has also been running in the SimGrid amongst other championships quite recently. I think she's also taking part in the GT3 Driver Swap Championship, the 4-round championship that starts this coming Sunday. So good start from her. She was actually outside of the top 30 after qualification, and has Niall Schlitter chasing her down as Yannick Müller. Normally we saw him in the halfway point of last season in the Audi. He's made the switch to a Falterbach's finest and is currently way down the order from where we see him, as Chris Pinchbeck is sandwiched between Gavin Utley and Angus Martin at the moment, with just over 38 minutes and 25 seconds still to go on the clock.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like this is one of the battles of the race so far. Utley, Pinchbeck, Martin, they're locked together. Crossland was involved very shortly with them, but he seems to have stretched his legs and made another position up. But Pinchbeck there just trying to intimidate Utley, shall we say, but Utley's not having any of it in his BMW. He's managing to defend no problem whatsoever, and that Mercedes is looking angry and it's looking interested on that inside line, but it's not far enough forward. But Chris has also got to watch in his mirrors as well, because Angus Martin, he's ready to pounce, as is Rhys Wiggins, to be fair. He's closed right up on these guys as well now. Well,
you've got to keep an eye on the gap between Isalovic and Haley, because Isalovic has just put in a 1:57.1. He's absolutely flying. Here's the 111, and there he is. And look, you can't really separate Walker and Haley at the moment, and they are literally doing the old Ferrari bump drafting tactic from the old Felipe Massa and Kimi Raikkonen days in the late 2000s. And using it to good effect, I might add here, Steve, but Isalovic on pure pace alone is catching those two crossbows.
Indeed, he is, and Rich Smith and Kieran Vidago aren't exactly a long way back either. They're coming into camera shot with those guys as well, so it's not going to take much of a mistake or incident for him to be up. And that's
Neutelings. That was Neutelings. Yeah, Crossland had Neutelings going up his inside through Parabolica. Crossland got towards the back part of it, and the rear bumper of the 666 gets spun around by the Team Fordzilla driver, and that allows Aidan Bro in the 557 Butler Pal Motorsport Audi up into 6th place, and he's got about 3.9 seconds to find on Kieran Vidago, who is actually looking pretty quick, and he's only Kieran is only 0.8 of a second off of Rich Smith at this particular moment in time. Yeah,
Neutlings will absolutely be steaming inside his helmet there. He will not be happy with that. He was showing some good pace, and that Mercedes was quick. Obviously, his teammate Isilovic in 3rd place at the moment, and Neutlings could match Adam on pace, so he will be furious. But let's not forget, next week it is a reverse top 15. So what Mark needs to do now is regroup, get his head down, and at least aim for 15th place to try and get pole for next week.
Yeah. And that is still, I think, pretty much achievable with the pace that 666 has got. I mean, both him and Adam Isilovic were very quick in free practice. And you can now see that there is a bit of a train, and it's the Gavin Utley train. Okay, let's have a look at the replay. This is between Gav Utley and also Chris Pinchbeck. Now, they're coming down the straightaway, not too far behind. That looks to be, I think... Is that Kieran Vidago just behind them?
That's Angus Martin and Rhys Wiggins behind them, I believe.
Yeah, so they're getting a bit closer. Rhys Wiggins, that looks to be very much a similar livery to what Augusto Farfus ran in his old DTM days with BMW Motorsport, as it looks like one car has pulled to the side. This is a repeat of what happened between Crossland. Yeah, and there's the slightest of tags. Mark caught that, didn't hit the wall, so he didn't have to visit the pits. That really, really compromised the 666, who is now currently in 20th position, is now it's side by side between Utley and Pinchbeck.
Yeah, this battle's going to go on and on. Utley and Pinchbeck have raced together for many years, so they know each other inside out, all the tricks of the trade. They'll be trying everything, but Pinchbeck has got the inside line, and he's got the job done on out-and-out pace. As long as he can get it stopped and turned, and he just did go a little bit deeper, but there was nothing Utley could do about that move. Great move from Pinchbeck. Just left the brake in that a little bit later than Utley to get the job finished.
Well, we said about drivers getting into the 156s. It's happened, Steve. Walker's put in a 156.892. Haley's put in a 156.970, and Rich Smith is quickest in Sector 1. Haley quickest in Sector 2, and Walker quickest in Sector 3. Times are tumbling.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to do, obviously, the fuel loads are coming down. The tyre wear's not too bad, I don't believe, around this track, although Kieran Vidago did say that he was maybe struggling a little bit with some tyre temps during practice, but they should be good for the 45-minute race stint, and certainly as the fuel load gets lighter, we may even get closer to the low 56s.
Oh, now I'm wondering, did Pinchbeck have a bit of a moment, because it looks like Martin, Utley's gotten past, and it looks like Angus Martin trying to get through as well, and on that particular occasion I don't think he got through quite yet, but Gavin Utley managing to steal a march, and that's a bright livery if ever I saw one. Pretty much like Adam Isilovic's one and Mark Neutlings' one from last season.
Yeah, that's one to get you noticed, but Gav Utley now certainly getting noticed because he's increased the gap now on Pinchbeck, as like you say, we maybe missed it, but looks like Pinchbeck maybe ran wide somewhere around Ascari or something like that to let Utley through, and it's compromised Pinchbeck's lap, which has cost him dearly. He's lost touch with Utley slightly, but Angus Martin has just lost out to Rhys Wiggins as well, so Wiggins is past Martin.
Yeah, then you got the number 20. What is it? You've got Gerard de Bar in the number 20 from Simbro Sport, as Wiggin and Martin go side by side. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? It's Lorenzo Filio I think Martin... Oh, he clashes doors.
That's fantastic driving, is that? That is respect. So there was a slight bit of contact, but Wiggin was totally within his rights to hold that outside line to give him the inside for the exit, and he did just that, and absolutely awesome move. That fantastic racing from both guys. But the job's not done yet. It's not over now, is it? Not by a long way. And it's turned into a 3-car battle again.
Yeah, I think I did see a Mercedes going straight lining, and that was Stapleford. Robbie Stapleford in the 81, I think regular on the VRRC platform, isn't he? If memory serves me correctly.
Yes, he is indeed, and it's good to see him just dipping his toe in the water with Simsport, and let's see how he measures up against the Simsport regulars. He's not doing bad so far in 14th place, because there's some pretty quick guys on the grid tonight.
There are indeed, and we're on lap number 7 with just over 31 and a half minutes to go. Still in this first race, the top 15, and at the moment, Sipavicius could be on pole position, provisionally speaking, for round 2 in a week's time at Suzuka. As Rhys Wiggin gets a bit sideways going through the first part of the Ascari. I think Angus Martin has just run a little bit wide, but manages to keep it on the asphalt. But still, it's going to be rather interesting. And Isalovic, I'm just keeping an eye on how much closer he's trying to get towards Haley and Walker. And it looks like Isalovic has put in a purple sector 1. Walker was not quickest out of the 3 sectors, but Steve Haley, Mr. Proudley, put in a 38.058, the quickest 3rd sector out of anybody in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys are trying 110%. They're really putting the effort in, and it is interesting to see Azalovic, to see the gap is yo-yoing a little bit. He had it down to 2/10 at one point. Now it's back up to 7/10. Rich Smith is maintaining around about 1.6, 1.7 behind those. Kieran Vidago's lost out a little bit to Rich Smith. He was closer than that a few laps ago, so be interesting to see what's happened to him. But yeah, the guys at the front, they are pushing mega hard, and those lap times are pretty damn good at this point in the race.
Well, we have to give, I think Mr. Lindsay has just made a mention of certain somebody, Mark Raddenbury, who's also switched to the 75 Porsche this time. He's actually running ahead of Robbie Stapleford at the minute, and Mark, we know, can definitely mix with the best when he's on his A game, and he looks to be pretty consistent here at Monza, doesn't he?
He does indeed, and look who he's chasing down. You know, I mean, Regan Mitchell, obviously, he's previous race winners in GT3s and GT4s. He's had some fantastic results, but you know, he's in the Maserati, which is a difficult car to drive. No traction control, no ABS. It's not a fun car to drive in some respects and in some conditions, but he's certainly giving it a good go. But yeah, good to see Raddenbury in 13th position there. Fantastic drive from him tonight.
Yeah, and a bit of change for colour scheme for Regan Mitchell this time around. Remember, season 1, he had the predominantly candy white and bright pink livery. Now it's black and yellow. And he's chasing down the number 20 of Gerard de Bar in the Simsport Sport BMW.
Yeah, I mean, it's corners like the Parabolica with the Maserati, where you've got to be so gentle with the throttle, but you've got to be, you know, equally aggressive, as it were, as well, to get the drive out of the Parabolica. As I say, the Maserati is so eager to spin the wheels up and lose that back end. So Regan's doing a fantastic job in 12th place at the moment, as we're just looking at on board with Stapleford taking Raddenbury at the moment as they're going to T1, and he's got that job done, but just gets a tap from Raddenbury as it carries a little bit more speed through the second half of the chicane. But yeah, job complete, and Raddenbury down a position.
Yeah, Daniel Parker's just posted in the YouTube chat, had to retire, took a tag in the rear coming out of the second chicane, took too much damage to continue. That's a real shame, Dan. And he said after hitting a wall, which he just briefly adds. So we are down to 36 competitors. That's a real shame, Dan. Hopefully we'll see you back for Suzuka in a week's time. 28 minutes remaining on the clock as we head back to Mark Raddenbury in the Dunn Motorsport number 75 Porsche Cayman, and Colin Dunn in the number 19. Just trying to keep an eye on where he currently is at the moment.
Yeah, just looking at the gap up front as well. Obviously, we're just watching Zelivic now. He's 1.1 seconds off the back of those KTM, so he's lost a bit more ground. But that's expected, I believe, like I say, coming through Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, the back section of the circuit, as I call it. Those KTMs, that's their strongest area, and I expect to see that gap come down a little bit, maybe on the straight. As long as it depends. I mean, Haley and Walker are obviously using the slipstream to their effect as a team, because I'm sure Haley will still be picking up a bit of a slipstream half a second behind Walker now.
And there is Yannick Müller in the number 77 Mercedes trying to chase down Ollie Geel. Charlie Crossland, he was battling in the sharp end of the field, Steve. He's now in 18th position. So I don't know whether he's had to... now Haffenden. Oh, that's a big surprise. Haffenden in the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. No mandatory pit stops. So any pit stops made by the drivers this evening is it's voluntary by them. There's obviously an issue and a reason for it. So it's not good to see Haffenden in the pits. That's going to cost him some time. Hopefully it's not a retirement, but maybe it is.
I'm sure we might find out a little bit later on, probably post broadcast, as Yannick Müller is now in 19th. He's got a 2.5 second gap to try and close down onto the back bumper of Charlie Crossland, and there is Mark Neutelings not too far behind. We go on board with Ollie Geel in the number 18 Porsche, as we do have another Alpine this time, and it was Senestofmil, I think, if I remember correctly, in the first season that decided to go with the Alpine, and Evan Natafas has also decided to do the same as well. The Alpine currently running in 32nd position, and you've got Alan in the number 49 Audi, a little bit further behind. Tim Fulbrook, the sole remaining HF Impala factory team. Sorry, I was going to say, I think we were about to be in synchronicity there, Steve. It looks like Yannick Möller's had a bit of a moment, hasn't he?
Yeah, it looks like he's made a mistake and let a few cars through there, but he's certainly lost some ground to the other guys. As we're watching Tim Fulbrook and a well-presented Porsche, that is. It looks awesome with the tribute to Paddock Hill on the back, as always. But it's up close and personal at the moment, battling with Ambrose. Fulbrook's looking to try and make up some positions.
Yeah, and they've got, looks like Neutelings is now in the top 20, as there goes Ambrose towards the inside, and here is Yannick Müller. He's trying to thread the eye of the needle between the pair of them, and if that becomes 3 wide coming out of the Parabolica, not quite on that particular occasion, but Ambrose still remains ahead of Fulbrook, but Yannick Müller using the slipstream to his advantage, and there is Rich Emery not too far behind, just as bright.
Fulbrook's going to lose out on that one, isn't he? And as you say, Amber and Muller there. Muller got the slipstream, and he's dived down the inside there, and it looks like he may just have made up 2 positions on that straight.
Oh my goodness, and that was Ambro and Fulbrook coming to blows. And I think Ambro has just flashed his lights at Yannick Müller as if to say, what are you doing, you madman?
Well, I think we'd have to watch that again, but on first impressions, the door was open, so maybe it was a tough move, but probably a fair move, to be honest.
Well, they do say that rubbing's racing, but this is meant to be a non-contact sport.
Well, I'd have to say we're not doing bad at the moment. It looks like we've still got 34 runners on the track, all racing hard, and there's some very, very close battles all throughout the field. I mean, we've got drivers, Rich Emery behind Ambro, 0.05. Rich is really pushing there, and he's looking to get one BMW further forward.
So at the moment, with now what is going to be our 11th lap, with just over 23.5 minutes remaining, it is Aaron Walker leading the number 1 seed, Stephen Haley, and then it is Adam Isolovic, Rich Smith, Kieran Vidago, Aidan Bro on his Simsport Racing debut, up to now 6th position, ahead of Gavin Utley, Chris Pinchbeck. We've then got the 863 of Angus Martin, and then we've also got Rhys Wiggin rounding out the top 10 positions. And still, I mean, Walker, this pace is inhuman for the 99, isn't it? And especially in this car. He's done a 156.8.
Yeah, I mean, we know what to expect of Walker and Haley, don't we, really? You know, I mean, I was surprised at the qualifying pace, really. We know what those guys can do. They are, you know, true professionals. They put the time in. They do the setups. As we're looking at Ambro now gaining a fantastic slipstream on Gilles, but is it going to be enough? Gilles forced him to the outside line, so I'm not sure he's going to get that job done. But he's had to take to the escape road.
He's doing a Vettel, isn't he? As Fulbrook has to go over the sausage curbs, as now we have gone past halfway in this race. 22 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock still to go. 1:37 p.m. local server time here at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza.
Yeah, and absolutely fantastic to see. Obviously, that was Rich Emery that had to take to the escape road, but he made sure he gave that position back, and in doing so, he's also actually lost an extra position now to Fulbrook. So, great sportsmanship from Rich there, as we always get from him.
Yes, indeed. I completely concur with that statement. And at the moment, rounding out the top 20 at the moment is Gerard de Bar, Regan Mitchell. Got a replay here. And this is where they go steamrolling into the Rettifilio. And that was Yannick Müller. And yeah, a little bit of a touch between panels between Fulbrook and Ambro there on the replay.
I mean, for me, Muller was through there and clear. That incident was nothing to do with him, really. I think Fulbrook was trying to take advantage of the fact that Ambro had lost his line. And it just, a bit of door rubbing, nothing too major. And it was just one of those racing incidents, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And as always, a big thank you to our broadcast director, Mike Yao from Simply Race, providing these fantastic camera angles that have been provided all the way through since, I think, what was it, 4 months ago when I think we both started with Simsport Racing, Steve? It was a long old time ago. It feels like more than a year rather than 4 months.
Hey, who's counting, buddy? You two are now part of the fixtures and fittings, so you know you're stuck with us just as we're stuck with you, and we're happy to be that way, mate. So yeah, thank you to Mike for fantastic pictures, and thank you to you for being the voice of Simsport as always, Alex. But look at Gav Utley in 7th place. That's a great position. They seem to have dropped Chris Pinchbeck, which is unfortunate for Chris, and he's in a bit of a lonely position in 8th place because Angus Martin is 3.5 seconds further back. So Chris is just circulating, but Gav has certainly got his eye on Aidan Brow in front of him.
Walker's gone like a scalded cat off a hot tin roof. He's like 2.75 seconds up the road. How is this? Like we say that. I cannot believe that he's just put in. That's the fastest lap of the race. He's put in a 1:56.586, a 37.9. in sector 3. Walker is absolutely romping away with this one at the moment. My godfathers.
That's some drive out of the parabolica, isn't it? But yeah, he certainly is. And Haley wasn't exactly slow on his lap, although he was nowhere near Walker's pace. But he was still faster than Nazilovic in 3rd place. So he's he's doing enough for that 2nd place. He's Haley, and I think, to be honest, he's seeing his teammates setting the pace, and he's thinking of the 6 rounds here. You know, just watch your line, keep your pace, and look for that 2nd place, and he'll be happy with that tonight.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on the lap times between Utley and Bro. Bro has actually responded because last time around on lap 12, Bro did a 1:58.1 and Utley was in the high 1:57s. Now the tables have turned, and now Bro has put in a 1:57.969. Utley has put in a 1:58.233. As we now see Stapleford trying to close on Regan Mitchell through into the Rettifilio. He gets a tag and he spins around Regan Mitchell. You could see the back end snaking on that Mercedes. I think he was just trying to modulate the brake and not get caught out. But Regan Mitchell put the car where he needed to. He had the right of way, and that gap was closing rather quickly.
Yeah, you'd like to see Stapleford give that position back, even though it's probably going to cost him a position himself. But yeah, definitely, Regan Mitchell, for me, didn't do anything wrong in that incident, and Stapleford just a little bit hot. I don't think he was any malice meant in it. It was just a bit hotter and carried a bit more speed and tapped Mitchell at the back end. But at the end of the day, it looked like it was Stapleford's fault. Yeah,
well, I think if Regan Mitchell decides maybe within the next 18 minutes, if he's going to try and if he lets Jeffrey Wolf pass, but goes defensive on Chris Crossland, Regan Mitchell will have the pole position for round 2 next week. So
yeah, Maserati on pole.
Oh my goodness me. That'd be something. But then his teammate Dave Hedges would be starting right from the back of the grid, because there's no qualifying after this session.
Yeah, it's probably the safest place for Dave to be fair. But
oh, was that shots fired, Mr. Proudley?
That was probably retaliation shots, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, definitely. No shots across the no warning shot across the bow there for Mr. Hedges, bless him.
But Mr. Walker is stretching that lead. It's 2.9 seconds now, and Haley is equally stretching it on Azalovic, who's 1.9 back. So the top 3 now have got their own air, they've got their own space. There's no slipstreams for any of them at the moment. So the lap times that they are putting in is respective of what they are capable of at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'm just sort of keeping an eye on where the closest battles in the top 10 are at the moment. And you're actually seeing one here, which is Gerard Debar in the number 20 BMW trying to close on Rhys Wiggin. Now, Rhys Wiggin, we normally see in the McLaren, Optimum Motorsport McLaren in GT3s. But this, I think, is the best performance I think I've seen from him for a very, very long time. Because he's never had the run of luck as Rhys Wiggin. But Gerard Debar, we've seen him before in GT3s, and he's now decided to come back in the BMW in GT4s. And the BMW's been looking pretty racy around here at Monza, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not forget Rhys Wiggin at season 2 Zandvoort on the podium. So he's capable of some good results. The reverse grid obviously helped him out in that season. He managed to just have a consistent race and managed to put it on the podium, which is fair play. It's not easy to do. But yeah, the BMWs have certainly got some strong legs around this track, as it has had the Mercs. I think both those cars have got it on the Porsches ever so slightly. He's certainly coming under pressure now. As we're looking at Regan Mitchell, who's trying to obviously recover some positions back, but he's down in 16th, so he just needs to really gain that one position, as you said, on Wolf, to get that pole position, and he's got 15 minutes to do it.
Yep, so we're fast approach. Oh, Gavin Utley's in the pits. Utley is in the pits. Now that's another change, a real big change that we've just seen just there.
So that gives Mitchell, he's in 15th place now, that is pole position, but he's a racer. Do you sort of stop there? As we see Mark Neutlins get a drive through, which will be for track limits in 19th, so his race has gone from bad to worse now. Mark was on a recovery drive from that earlier incident when he got tapped around by Crossland, now having to suffer a drive through as well.
Yeah, so it is all changing rather rapidly. We now go into the final third of race 1 out of 6 for season 3 GT4 here on Simsport Racing. If you want to join the community, head to simsport-racing.com. You'll find all our social media links and also what championships we've got going on, and also our relevant Discord server too. Now that was Gerard Debar, I think, that was just having a moment, was it? Possibly going over. That could have been. So Gerard Debar having a bit of a moment going through the second half of the Rotofilio chicane. Yeah. But Yannick Muller, I think he senses that, well, I know it's reverse top 15. Maybe if I just get myself ahead of Regan and stay there. Yeah,
absolutely. This is why we did it when we were talking about changing things slightly, because the GT4 seasons have been fun, but we just wanted to always improve. As we're looking at Muller now going for that 15th place, all important 15th place, and he gets the job done there. Absolutely fantastic move. But yeah, I mean, the guys have now got to battle for that pole position rather than just thinking, you know what, I'll run round at the back and I'll be on pole next week. So it's certainly puts a bit more interest for it.
So 13 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this what's been an epic battle between 38 GT4 drivers here this evening, representing 8 different manufacturers.
What a performance though from our top 5 at the moment. The top 5 has been pretty stagnant from the start of the race, hasn't it? And they've just maintained their laps. Their consistency's been good. They're just doing it, staying out of trouble, and all being well. They're going to bring it home in the top 5 as they are at the moment.
Yeah. So Parker unfortunately retired. Schilstra out on lap number 6. Haffenden lap 8. We've also had the number 49 Audi of Steve Allen retire on lap 14, as well as Gavin Utley and the number 14 BMW. So we are now down to 32 drivers, and that is Natafas in the Sol Alpine, as Emery goes side by side with Ollie Geel and gets past for 20th position.
Yeah, good evening to Bliv in the YouTube chat.
Sorry to cut across you there, Steve. Robbie Stapleford gets a drive-through.
Yeah, that'll be for track limits as well, so that's maybe a little bit of recompense for the incident earlier, giving him a drive-through there when he obviously came into contact with Regan Mitchell. But yeah, it's all that's all managed automatically by the game. So just to explain to anyone who's not really familiar with ACC, is we've just seen Denise Pope defending there and actually maybe going to make up a position on Neutlings, but not just this time. Yeah, the game, if the guys cut the track, it automatically chalks them up once they've got 3. That is their lot. If they cut the track once more, they automatically get a drive-through penalty for it, and then the counter is reset.
Yeah, well, Denise Pope had actually been overtaken by Mark Neutlings, so she was trying to counter-attack there, and she's battling away with the number 22, and that is of Sean Buck from Logistical Nightmare. But Denise Pope still keeping ahead at the minute, and she's currently running at the top 26 positions, but still could have a chance at going after Neutlings, because you've got Ibrahim Al-Alawi just ahead, as it's 3 abreast going through towards the Parabolica, and that was involving the likes of Simon Wilkes from Black Mamba.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that Stapleford drive-through is going to help put Mitchell back in. Well, he's in 15th position now on pole position. He's going to go up another position once Stapleford takes that drive-through, isn't he?
And I think it has just happened, as Denise Pope just gets past by Sean Buck, and Steen Passpont in the number 444.
That was commitment from Denise Pope. Did you see how hard she was leaning on those tyres then? And it almost whipped back on her, but she managed to hold it, and she certainly, not only did she hold it, she's in a position to challenge as well.
Great gusto and gumption there from Denise Pope, as Mark Neutlings. Oh, now, that was
Stapleford, wasn't it?
Stapleford? Oh, Pope in the barriers. I've just seen Denise Pope just hit the barriers as well. Was there a problem for her just then? I think, did she just lose it on her own? I'm not too sure. A 45-minute sprint race can take it out on anybody, as there is Simon Wilkes, who's... that's a bit cheeky. Stop shortcutting the Ascari chicane, my good man.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to Denise Pope, we did see how hard she was leaning on those tyres as, she came out of Ascari, so maybe she was just leaning a little bit too hard on them. With only 10 minutes to go, they will lost quite a bit of life, but they should be good for the last 10 minutes, but yeah, maybe she was just leaning too hard.
Yeah, we've got just under 10 minutes remaining. Simon Wilkes and Mark Raddenbury absolutely battling tooth and nail over 16th position, and look who's in 15th place, Charlie Crossland from Team Fordzilla. Yeah,
Charlie Crossland's made up some places after his earlier incidents. And
I'm sorry, Simon Wilkes, you've really got to watch it now. I think that's another track cut, and if he gets the third one, that's an instant drive-through, isn't it?
Yeah, at least fourth one, yeah, it gives you 3, and then on the fourth you get a drive-through, but just going to go to a replay now.
Okay, this is heading down towards the Parabolica, so Steen Passpont is just behind Denise Pope. Denise runs towards now. Looks like Stapleford. Oh no, she's had to avoid Stapleford, and it's put the right front into the barriers, but she's gotten away with that one very, very lightly indeed.
Yeah, she just had to drop her rear left wheel onto the sort of off track, as it were, and it just caused her to lose traction there. Really unlucky.
Okay, let's have a look at what happened to Stapleford. So he's going to throw it into Parabolica, and oh no, he just literally, I don't know whether that might have been a technical related issue there, but he just went literally spearing on into the outside of Parabolica there, as Simon Wilkes pushing along it was actually pushed, and then it's just decided to somersault, part of the okay, let's just have a look. So he's going in.
This is going to be frightening.
Oh yeah, that car's not turning anywhere. Oh, ran out of brakes, that looks like. So whether there was a braking issue, it might be hardware related.
I mean,
possibly.
For anyone who's not familiar with the sim, they do get to choose compounds of brake pads, and one of the compounds is actually a qualifying pad, which will only last around about 20 minutes. So if somebody has, if Robbie's maybe put them in, I'm only guessing, I don't know, but it certainly looked like he'd lost all braking there. It didn't look like it was so much of a connection issue. Either that, or it was potentially a hardware issue at his end, where his brakes have failed. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out after the race.
Richard Emery, in the meantime, battling away still with Ollie Geel. And there is Charlie Crossland, who's actually just behind Regan Mitchell. And Crossland, I don't think, is kind of worried about that top 15 reverse grid for next week at Suzuka, as he's making it 3 abreast. Oh, this is going to be tight. And Crossland keeps out of the way. Sipavicius and Regan Mitchell come to blows. That allows Crossland up the inside of the number 69 Maserati, and that means that Regan Mitchell now ends up in 15th position. 7 minutes of this race still remaining.
Yeah, that was a little bit cheeky, wasn't it? A couple of nudges there to put the Maserati wide, and that's cost Regan dearly, although it has put him back into that pole position slot of 15th place. But I don't think any of those guys are really looking at that 15th place either. They're all looking at the position up the road, so good to see they're still actually battling to go forward.
Yeah, I think Cameron Fifey's just said, so frustrating. I felt like I could have made up a few places. Oh, well, best ring up BT tomorrow. You go and do that, buddy, and let's see you back for Suzuka in a week's time, Cameron. So just under 6.5 minutes still to go in this race. And it looks like, the number 49 of Steve Allen might have parked it in the pits as well. So we're down to 31 drivers. Still being rounded out by Natafas in this sole Alpine. So out of 38 that started the race, and we have just over 6 minutes to go, Steve, that's a pretty good rate of drivers still in the race at the moment.
It is, and considering the track, with the heavy braking zones, Parabolica, there's some high impact areas on this track where you can pick up a lot of damage. So the racing's been good, it's been clean. There's been a couple of incidents I'm sure the stewards may be looking at tomorrow evening. But yeah, definitely it's been good, and it's good to see so many people staying on the track and, completing what they need to do. And it looks like Stapleford's either retired, is he in the pits there, or it's still showing his drive-through, but maybe, like you say, maybe he has retired. He's a few laps down now, isn't he? So.
Yeah, I think it was just due to the sheer impact, the velocity going through into the Parabolica, and just, the front end just decided to take the full-on brunt, and that's not easy. But it looks like we've had a little bit of a moment there. That was for Stijn Passpont. Bliv AK asking a very good question here. Good to hear from you, Bliv. What's the top speed of the KTMs at Monza? I'm sure that when we speak to Haley and Messrs. Haley and Walker, who are about 2.5 seconds adrift to each other. We'll find out from them.
Yeah, we were talking about this, and unprofessionally, I can't remember what they actually said it was now, but I know it was a few clicks shorter than the Merc, which is why I was so impressed when they managed to keep so well in front of Zilovic at the beginning of the race when he was close up behind them. But again, Regan Mitchell now and having a real battle, and he's defending very, very hard, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah, Sipavicius just behind, so Sipavicius currently in 15th. But these guys, like you said, they're not wanting to battle over the top 15 reverse grid for Suzuka in a week's time. They want to battle for position. They want to battle for a bit of pride. As we go on board with Mark Randenbury on the top left-hand corner, and it looks like he has made the move on the number 12 of Black Mamba Racing's Simon Wilkes, and has got the job done. So Mark Randenbury now up into what is, I think, effectively 16th position.
Yeah, fantastic racing from all the guys, as we keep saying, but Mark Randenbury having absolute blinders tonight. I mean, he's, we were talking about him earlier, and he's been caught up in a few incidents, not always of his own doing in previous races, but he's had a good one tonight, as these two go head-to-head into a Ascari now, side by side, and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, I think James Hartnell's trying to saying, sure you keep on saying Sid Vicious. I think you need to listen a bit better there, James. Your hearing's probably better than mine. I don't know. But we've got 180 seconds still of this race remaining. And Mark Randenbury still trying to keep on level pegging terms with the number 12 of Simon Wilkes in the BMW. But Raddenbury, like you say, he's had a really good performance this evening. Sean Buck trying to close on Ibrahim Al-Alawi. And this is for 24th position. So Porsche v Porsche, as they are now heading their way down towards the Parabolica. Not too far behind is Steam Passport in the 444 Ginetta.
I see Ranjiv Kelsey, another one of our regular racers, has got a stop-go 30. So I'm just wondering if he'd had some sort of drive-through penalty and he's speeded in the pit lane, because that's the only reason you normally get a stop-go 30. So, it's not going to really affect much of his race. He's down in 31st for whatever reason, so not having the best of nights.
No, but here is Aaron Walker, and he's actually lapped one of the Porsches. That could be, is that Mark Ranbury? I think he's just passed, possibly. Not too sure, but he's going to go on to lap number 22 very, very shortly. And it could be the penultimate lap of the race, because the timer now, when they're running in the 1:57.3s, well, that is Walker that's been running in them. He will basically, if he crossed it with, 1 minute 59 to spare, he'd still have a full lap and then another one. So it just really depends how soon before the end of it.
I'm going to say, if it's as tight as that and they do get another lap in, I just hope that they've fueled it right for the race, 'cause that could be a deciding factor. But yeah, it's been an absolutely awesome performance from the Simply Race guys in the KTM, and Adam Masilovic in third place as well. As I said earlier, they've just been consistent, put the laps in, they've battled when they could, and they've settled down and just got the job done tonight, haven't they?
Yeah, as we go on board with Carolis, I won't try and say Carolis' surname again, because I'm sure that James Hartnell will keep on taking the mickey out of me in the 101.
Well, at least you're trying, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if James could actually give that a try live on air. I'm sure he'd struggle with that. But
if you've noticed, I've stayed silent.
You stayed deadly silent on that one, mate. You really, really have. But we're now 40 seconds still to go. Aaron Walker now coming through the Ascari chicane. It's just up ahead. You've got two Porsches, one of which is Denise Pope.
Yeah, and this is where it gets difficult when you're trying to lap two cars that are actually battling.
Blue flags out. Yeah, blue flags out.
They've got to hope that they're going to lift and let you go through. It's not. I don't know if he's gonna.
That's Niall Schleter, who's going to go running wide. That's going to allow Denise Pope the opportunity to get through, and she does. And look, Steve Haley isn't that far away, but we are. This is going to be close. This is going to be to the wire. And it looks like the time has gone to zero. That's it. Race is over. Aaron Walker wins from
Absolutely. I actually thought for a few seconds there we were going to get another lap out of it, but fantastic job by Aaron Walker, Steve Haley, Adam Asailovic, and Rich Smith came home in fourth, looking like Kieran Verdago in fifth. Absolutely awesome job from those boys. Well done. Fantastic.
Yeah, Aidan Bro in the 557 Butler Pal Motorsport entry. He, on his Simsport Racing debut, funnily enough, takes P6. And that is ahead of the number 43 of Chris Pinchbeck. Angus Martin rounds out the top 8 ahead of Reese Wiggin, who's in 9th. And then in 10th place, it was Gerard Debar in the number 20. Then it was the number 79. Oh, no, hang on. It was changing all the time. Jeffrey Wolf was 11th. Charlie Crossland in 12th. And it looks like Regan Mitchell takes 13th ahead of Carolis in the 101. Simon Wilkes, provisionally speaking, takes the reverse grid top 15 pole for Suzuka next week in 15th place. Mark Ranbury will finish behind Tim Fulbrook, who's made his way up to 16th at the end of it all. Ollie Geel is in 19th ahead of, behind Richard Emery. Andrew Ambrose takes 20th ahead of Richard Pixley. Denise Pope on her Simsport Racing debut takes 26th ahead of Niall Schleter. And then you've got the likes of Dan Natafas, Kelsey and Allen, who round out the 31 that effectively will be classified. Ibrahim Al-Alawi will cross the line in 23rd.
Yeah, some fantastic driving from all the boys, and I don't think there was any standout performances there as we're getting confirmation of the final results. I think generally that was a cracking race from everybody involved, and great to see so many cars on the grid to start and so many cars to finish as well.
31 out of 38, Steve. That just hand on heart. That was absolutely brilliant. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to head down to the interview booth, and I think we've got some drivers to speak to. Shall we head down there?
Yeah, let's go down there, buddy.
Right, well, our Season 1 champion just so happens to be the victor here at Monza. Well done, Aaron Walker. That was a hell of a drive from both you and Steve Haley. But I first have to talk about quali, because you guys, I mean, both myself and Steve, we could not believe that you guys were actually on the front row here at Monza. Was it the old slipstream Rooney that you guys were doing during qualification to help that out?
Alex, no, I wish it was. I mean, it was only a 10-minute quali. There's not a great deal of time to use a teammate with a slipstream, so no, that was just pure pace. We've been pretty consistent all week, so they were the sort of times I was expecting. I didn't expect it to be that close, though, so it was nice to be on the front row.
But also, you managed to start pulling away. You were running in the 156s, where everyone else was trying to sort of claw you back in. I mean, Adam Isolovic, amongst others, Rich Smith, who won a race back in Season 2. Everyone has really upped their game for Season 3 in GT4, wouldn't you agree?
Really. And I'm so pleased that Steve kept second. That Merc just in his rearview mirror must have been awful, because it just eats up the time down the straight. I mean, half a second easy. He did very well to keep second, so yeah, just over the moon. But those guys, credit to them, like you say, they've all improved. It's going to be a difficult season.
And especially with the added mixture of not having a full reverse grid like we did in the first 2 seasons, but a reverse top 15. And that's going to prove to be very interesting next time out in a week's time at Suzuka, wouldn't you agree?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously pleased I'm not starting at the back. These grids are pretty big, but it also gives those guys sort of mid-pack something to fight for as well. So it's going to be a very interesting season.
Well, Aaron, well done, mate. Great job this evening. Steve, have you got anything to ask?
Yeah, just one question, Aaron. Obviously, we've got the reverse grid, which goes, it'll put you in 15th place at the start. Do you think that's going to hurt you more in the KTM than potentially it may hurt the Mercs and the Beamers at Suzuka, which is again another fast track?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, obviously, I've got Steve next to me, so that's pretty handy. We did have a bit of a plan here to make sure we went side by side so those Mercs couldn't get by. And that worked pretty well. So I mean, we could do something similar, but I mean, obviously they're not quite as quick in a straight line. But it's a tight and twisty track, and well, it is a twisty track anyway, and it's quite low grip. So the KTM might do well there.
Yeah, well, as I've been saying all race long, you guys are the professionals, and you will put lots of practice in, and you will put on a good performance next week. So well done tonight, Aaron. And as Alex said, it was a pleasant surprise when you locked out the front row. I didn't expect you to lock out the front row, and your race pace was absolutely astounding. It was awesome to watch, so well done, mate.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Alex.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Aaron. Next up, we'll go to our runner-up for the race here at Monza. Let's see if we can bring him in. Let's get Steve Haley in with us. Steve, what a job by you and Aaron. Front row lockout after qualification, and it's a team 1-2. Obviously, this now puts you 14th on the grid for Suzuka, but to show that pace all the way through the race, I mean, Aaron absolutely romping away with it. I think you had a little bit of difficulty keeping up with him, didn't you?
Not really, no.
Well, I have to ask the questions that way. That's just me.
I think obviously to qualifying first of all, man, I was stoked to have got first and second for the team, which is fantastic, and a pretty good lap as well, to be fair. But we also know that. Obviously, Adam he's super fast, and he did have the pace to have got pole. But yeah, the start of the race, I realised that Aaron and myself, we basically had to lock the starting straight out. To give us both a chance of getting through the first section in front of Adam. Because I do believe that if he'd have got us coming down into the first corner, it would have been game over. I think maybe because he did have some good pace, and in all pre-season testing he was there and the fastest. So yeah, I'm very pleased with second place to my teammate. I did have one incident where it all looked as though it could have ended very, very badly.
No, but well done, great job, Mr. Proudley. Have you got any questions for our defending champion?
I've got a question for our defending champion, have I?
That sounds ominous.
With that result then, Steve, now obviously this is a six-round championship. Simply Race team locking out the front row there with the pole position and the 1-2. But the race result speaks volumes, so does that make you Bottas and Aaron Hamilton then now?
I was waiting for that comparison.
I like it. Well, if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. Obviously, there's no team orders at the moment, but we've got to see how the rest of the season goes. If push comes to shove and I have to help Aaron out towards the end, then I shall do that. There's no eyeing team. But yeah, I mean, I prefer to fight and have a good scrap with him. But I mean, today's result, consolidating a good 1-2. The second chicane was a very hairy moment. I kind of outbraked myself and had to go straight on. I don't know whether you caught that on the stream, but it was almost it was definitely a brown trouser moment.
Well done, mate. And I mean, joking apart, obviously you're a very strong team, and like I said to Aaron, you put the practice in, you'll do your homework, and you'll do the laps. And I'm sure starting 14th at Suzuka, it's a disadvantage, but you'll do your best to work your way through what is a very competitive field in this season.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some great drivers, some pretty fast drivers in some in cars which on paper should be very fast and be up there. So, 14th and 15th start for Aaron and I. We'll just have to see how we go. It's a nice twisty circuit. It may suit the KTM. We'll just have to see. Being behind people is an issue, obviously, because I think where we've got the paces in the corners and under braking. And if there's a car in your braking zone, then you can't really use it to your advantage. But we'll see.
Yeah, yep. I do have one final question, and it is from our good friend Steve, Mr. Bliv AK. He's asked a question. What was the top speed of the KTMs when you were actually going into the, say, down the straightaways here at Monza? Because obviously, I know for a fact that the KTM is a lot more advantageous to have in the twisty stuff. We saw that with Charlie Crossland last last season at Bathurst. But in terms of the differential between you guys and the rest of the drivers, what were you losing at? Were you losing 5-8 kilometers per hour on the straightaways? In all honesty,
I do think it could have been something like that. We was at quite a big disadvantage. I think the top speed, the speed at which I topped out at before turn 1 was 2:53. Looking at the Motec data, so yeah, I think the Mercs and the Porsches for sure were a good bit faster than that. But yeah, we're happy.
And that's nearly 157 miles an hour. And even in a KTM Crossbow, that's still pretty quick. Well, Steve, congratulations on your second place here at Monza, and a great one too for Simply Race heading into Suzuka in a week's time. Well done, mate.
Yes, thank you very much. Cheers.
Well done, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay, and our top 3 is rounded out by the 111 of Mikada Racing's Adam Isalovic and the Mercedes. Adam, well done. I know that you had a tall order to try and catch both Steve and Aaron, but still to come away with the top 3 finish here at Monza, that was pretty good, wasn't it?
Hey, thank you for an unmute. Yeah, it was congrats first to Aaron and Steve. That was excellent driving by them. And yeah, I screwed up. I qualified on wrong tires. So basically, yeah, I shot myself in the foot, but I will take Max Verstappen place. I don't mind at all. That was a great race. They had a really good pace, and I knew on the practice that I had a really too much degradation on the tires in the last 15 minutes, so I didn't want to push too much.
But still, this is going to put you ahead of the 2 KTMs going into Suzuka next week, Adam. Suzuka, very much a different track in its own right, but still very quick. Obviously, the Mercedes has the good sort of power out of the corners, especially with that low rev torque that this car has as a characteristic. Do you think that could play to an advantage for you next week when we head to Japan?
Oh, definitely. They will know how Merc can wide it be. So basically, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it will be fun defending those guys behind me.
Steve, have you got any questions for Adam this evening?
Not so much questions, but just well done, buddy. I mean, Adam's been putting in a lot of practice all week, and he has been the man to beat in practice. I mean, obviously the KTM's brought their A game to qualifying, and as Adam said there, he just made a little bit of a mistake, but you know, he took that on the chin. Adam, you've tried really hard, you've put in a good performance, and as I said during the commentary, you were consistent, you just kept putting the laps in, and it's a season-long battle. It's going to be 6 rounds. Bringing it home third in the first round is no great shame. It's a good result, buddy, so really well done, and absolutely awesome livery on the car as well.
Thank you very much. That was awesome race. Thank you very much.
No worries. Good luck to you, and like Alex said, good luck to you for Suzuka, where you'll be in P13 on the start, so I'm sure you'll make the best of that as well.
Oh, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Well done this evening.
Thank you.
Right, so that really rounds out things here at Monza for the first of 6 races for Season 3 GT4. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us here this evening. And don't forget the ACC GT3 driver swap. Well, actually, the drivers that will be racing in race round 2 next week, next Wednesday, will be able to have a bit of a precursor, because the GT3 driver swap starts this coming Sunday. The broadcast will start at around about 7 o'clock in the evening. It's a 150-minute race, maximum driver time 80 minutes, and it is 3 mandatory pit stops. And then you see the calendar for GT4 Season 3. Suzuka is our second round next Wednesday. But Steve, what a great way. Season 3, over 39 sign-ups for Season 3. This truly is the place to race, isn't it?
The admin here, it's awesome to have such a great community, and that was an absolutely fantastic first round for the GT4s. Monza for T1 can be terrible, but those guys really drove with respect and professionalism tonight, and they really raced hard, and it was absolutely awesome to be commentating on. It was a really great race, so well done to everybody.
Old returnees, and a lot of great action here at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza for round 1 of 6 for Season 3 GT4. Join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Steve Proudley this coming Sunday for ACC GT3 driver swap round 1 at Suzuka. It's set to be an absolute cracker. Steve, a pleasure as always to work alongside you, my friend.
And you, Alex, thank you very much, and it's great to have you back in the comms with myself.
Indeed. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and look after each other. We'll see you on Sunday evening. Good night for now.